What would change if your highest self, not the hustler, not the perfectionist, not the imposter, was the one running your business? In this episode of the HerBusiness Podcast, we explore what it really looks like to put your highest self in charge. If you're feeling stuck in the grind or craving a new way forward, this conversation is going to show you how to step fully into the business and the life that you are meant to lead. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the HerBusiness Podcast. I'm your host, Susie Daphnis, and today you are in for a powerful conversation. I'm speaking with the incredible Cherie Healey, the woman behind the Siren program that I've been a part of since last year, and I can honestly say that the work I've done with Cherie has really been reality shifting. And in this episode, we're exploring what happens when you put the most powerful part of you, your highest self, in charge of running your business. And here's something I know you will love. Cherie has a special invitation just for you, a free one-on-one call to help you step into your highest self in your business. And what I'm going to do is share all the details on how to grab that at the end of this episode, so stick around. Now, Cherie has worked with leaders at companies like Google, YouTube, Apple, and Nike, and she brings more than 25 years of experience in leadership, communication, and transformational strategy. But what makes her so extraordinary is how she helps women remember who they really are. She helps them claim their desires and to design a business and a life that feels expansive, abundant, and true to themselves. I know you're going to get so much out of this conversation, just like I did, so let's dive in. Cherie, welcome to HerBusiness. I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh, I'm so grateful to be here. I've been looking forward to it.
Let's get into it. Now, you work with some of the, okay, she says, you work with some of the most successful, high-achieving, not only business owners, but business leaders, female business leaders. What have you found in your years of experience in doing this to be their biggest, most common challenge?
Oh, you know this all too well. It's letting go of the hustle, letting go of the old ways of overworking and grinding, what we all call that sort of, how could I possibly get it all done and enjoy my life, Yeah. So it's really the challenge of leaning back into trust in themselves and in the ways that we know how to make things happen as women, not the ways that we were taught, the ways that we did when we were in our 20s, and I have such high hopes for this younger generation who do know better. But for those of us who've been in it for a little minute, we still go back to that really putting ourselves last, pushing too hard, maybe more energy out than energy in. And then we get into trouble. So it's really about knowing how to do this sustainably and wisely.
And I've been doing a lot of unlearning since joining your program, which we'll talk about a little later on. But you're right, we're just so conditioned to hustle, to go for it, to achieve. And you've seen this not only in the corporate world, but of course with the business owners that you work with. And so I want to talk about identity, because I know for me and for a lot of business owners who I know, many of whom are going to be listening to the show, being a business owner is part of the identity. And what the work that I've discovered through the work with you is that knowing who you are, what you're here to do, is a key part of what you help women with. So when we know exactly who we are, what we stand for, how does that clarity change the way that we run our businesses and the way that we make decisions?
Oh, it's such a good question. I feel like it's absolutely everything, because it's where I start with everyone, in Siren. It's the very first part of the journey of becoming our highest self, is really catching up to who you've become. We do so much. We're moving so fast because we can, and we're running our lives. And I think without being able to zoom out and stop and really tune in, we can lose track of ourselves. And then you get into, the arena, as Brene calls it, and we're doing all the things. And if we're not really attuned to who's running the show, if you're familiar with parts theory or internal family systems, different parts of us can take over. And if you aren't self-aware, you may be running your business from the imposter. I hear so many women talk about being in the imposter syndrome, or the little girl jumps in the front seat and is all of a sudden filling you with fear. And you're like, why am I so afraid? It's not who we truly are. These parts are here for us. They're resources for us to use. But if we aren't anchored in the true self, the soul of us, and we aren't running our businesses from there, our brands can go sideways. We get distracted by the latest trend, the thing that we saw on our feed that day that says we should do it this way, or you should do it that way, or be like this to go viral. You lose your anchor, your center, So I like to really stay very close to her, keep putting her in charge of the show, but also work with all of our leaders to have them be in a constant conversation with her, a knowing of who you truly are, so that everything else is guided and simpler and more potent. When you're working with somebody and they are, like Glennon Doyle talks about in their representative, there's this person that they are performing that is in front of their true self, and you can feel it. When I talk about doing marketing from the inside out or being your brand, we want not the representative. We want all you, and that's being the most powerful, magnetic, and also very human part of yourself,
And you were very gracious to give our members a presentation on that topic you just mentioned, which is how do I market from the inside out, from who I truly am, for what I truly stand. And you said that before about putting her in charge, and like your work is around us even finding who she is, because often she's buried under years and years and years of raising a family, growing a business, handling a relationship, whatever it is. And so coming back to her and putting her in charge and having her know what she wants. So I want to talk about desires, because you talk about us saying what you want out loud, being clear about what you want, and being willing to declare what you desire. And so why is declaring our desires to ourselves primarily, but maybe also to others, so powerful? Part one. And part two is, how do we get better at it?
Oh, so important. First, let's just demystify it all. The desire is what would make you happy. And in our work, I call desires business strategies for this reason. So it's like permission for all of you to have what you desire, because we know that we are more extrinsically motivated. As women, we care for everybody else before ourselves. That means all our clients, if we have kids, our partners, if we have partners, all the people that we are here to serve and take care of, we usually come last. And so that's where women will come to the work and they're like, am I even allowed to have a desire? Like, I don't even know what I want anymore. And so if we can frame this for the sake of our conversation and in all the work as the business strategies they are, I will show you that when you are actively going after what you desire, saying it out loud to yourself, actually saying it to others too, in the circle of women or to trusted people, you are more likely to get what you want. The reticular activating system, the whole system inside you will go for trying to find that thing that you want. But also people around you knowing about it want to help. I think we're naturally inclined to want to help people get what they want. And so it makes it more real. I know Dr. James Doty just in his book, Mind Magic, talks about this, that in saying it out loud, writing it down and visualizing it, you are more likely to have it. So with all that said, the even more nuanced truth of why desire is so powerful in our business is pleasure, this what makes us happy, anchors the soul in the body. It actually is the reason that we might be fully embodied. And you hear that all the time now, what it is to be an embodied leader or to embody your brand. that's a very difficult concept to really grasp. What does that mean? How does it feel? We will only ever have a shot at it, at being fully in our bodies, which means we can be our most magnetic, most powerful leader selves if we have pleasure. That is not what we're readily taught. And that's buried out there in all the books. I don't know. I just know it to be true, having worked with women for this long, that, and we can give the listeners this challenge, that if you go about saying, okay, this sounds interesting, it's a permission slip for me to have more pleasure, I'll try it on. Go do whatever you wish you had more time for, the thing that you always wish you had more time for. And then as an experiment, track business results. Track what it does for you in your business to actually center this pleasure. If it's more time with friends, or for me, it's reading books, what actually does it lead to? And I guarantee you will find it gets you more business. It attracts more. It has people believe you, trust you, want to work with you more. There's so many positive side effects. And then the last that I would say, and we can share this with the listeners, is these success cycles that I'm always working on with women are a combination of being and doing. They go together like the in-breath and the out-breath. And I know we are all very good at doing. So that's not the harder of the cycles for me to work with, but the being one is. And that's tricky for us because we're just feeling like there's never enough time. We have to do. But in the being, if you can allow for it, you get to receive so much. Your intuition, insights, downloads, creativity, sparks, new ideas can only come through those moments when you allow for some pleasure, when your nervous system can rest, So it's, we can talk about it all day, how important it is.
And this month inside of Her Business, we are talking about this a lot. And what can often come up is, as you said, we are just accustomed to doing, because we think that is what creates results. And the being kind of takes a back seat. And so women will often feel guilty about stopping. And self-care can be seen as like, what, you want me to be doing massages and my toes? No, but just giving to yourself. Like you said, for you, that pleasure is reading or time with friends. For me, it's definitely time with friends. It's going out on a run. It's sitting on the couch with the dog and PJ, without feeling guilt. But so many of us struggle to unplug without guilt, especially business owners. And you've kind of explained it, but I'll ask anyway. What's your take on creating boundaries that protect our energy and our ambition? Or is a boundary just another rule? Like, how do we balance that? Yeah.
You know what? I would say let's simplify boundary, because for some, it comes with all this negative connotation.
Right.
Like, oh, boundaries are a necessary evil, or they're saying no to somebody, or they feel harsh, or there's just loads that come with it. I would say a boundary is a yes. It's a yes to something. Right. If I'm saying, here's a boundary that what's something that we're always talking about, let's just keep it on topic, that I stand for my pleasure, that I have a high bar for it because I know the results I get. So if something is going to rob me of that, I'm saying yes to my pleasure. Right. It's saying if I have to put a boundary down, you could say it's a no so that I can say yes to something else. But if the focus is on what am I protecting? What is the thing that I care most about? Energy is my highest value. Being of high frequency. It's everything to me. So I like a clean house, Susie. I mean, it's like I have to keep things nice because I work all over this place and I want to be filled with beauty, So my boundary is, with my sweetheart, we together are creating this place of beauty so that I can keep my energy high,
Yeah.
So, and with the guilt, let's also look at the good reason for guilt. I think there's a good reason for everything. that we can explain away feelings and we can explain away people's behavior by saying there's always a good reason. And guilt to me is a part of all of the emotions that we carry. I see my emotions like my friends. I've got all these friends that are hanging out with me all the time. And if one comes along with a message, I want to hear what she has to say. So guilt is here. You look at it square in the face and you're like, what do you want from me? What's the good reason you're here? And usually guilt has a flavor of fear. Like somebody's going to be upset with us if we're doing this, this caution, So I like to talk back. I'll talk to the emotion and I'll say, okay, what is this guilt here for today? And is it true? And it's usually not. It's usually just old parts of us that say, is this allowed? Like with the book reading, I do genuinely think that if I lay around with a book in the middle of the day, the guilt comes because I think my dad's going to come in and tell me that I have chores to do. It's that ridiculous. So I have to look at it and go, guilt, you're outdated. I'm 55. My dad is nowhere in sight. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah.
I love that. And how you disassociate, like that's guilt over there and here is me, and you're having this conversation with it and putting it in its place. I love that.
Yeah.
Both you and I create environments for women to have more of what they want and white space to think and to dream. And I've been on retreat with you. You know that. We run retreats specifically for this purpose. Why does creating spaces, whether it's a retreat, whether it's whatever it is, time with a coach, whatever it is, why is it so important for us to make space for ourselves? Like the busier we become in business, let me explain this further. A friend of mine said to me, the busier we get in business, the more we're growing our businesses, the more space we need, but we tend to give ourselves less.
Yeah.
Why does it matter that we continue to give ourselves space?
Because the opposite is caged animal. We have this real ability to be in this place of mountaintop thinking, or magical manifesting, downloading inspiration, big symphonic mind. We can do all of these amazing things. You take away space and we go into the reptilian. Oh my God, I have no space, fight or flight. I am now in the amygdala. It's a nervous system. Truth. If space, I call as an alignment principle. If you are to actively run your life aligned with who you are and what you're here to do, space is a non-negotiable. And the greatest leaders know that. There's time off grid, you are unreachable, you're, coming up with your next big, great ideas. I think there are rituals and practices of going away on 90-day retreats and, having your spiritual practice. If you have that, there's all sorts of ways that we know we must. But I think if you just make it real clear, it's like I'm choosing my high self or I'm choosing the caged animal. It's like, of course, we all need space.
Yeah, so good. And going back to what you were saying earlier about the definitions that, it's like if I'm sitting on the couch reading a book, the fear is my dad might come in, because you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to, as a business owner, sit around in the middle of the day and read a book. That's not how success happens. And so I want to talk about your definition of success and how women entrepreneurs can get crystal clear on what success means to them without definitions being hijacked by outside voices. How do you think about that?
We did this in Siren. I remember when we were studying money and we all took another pass at what is success now. Like it's, again, catching up to who you've become. Success for me years ago, I think was different than what it is now. And my latest definition is overflow. Overflow.
Tell me more.
Yeah, forever I was so interested in flow state and this ability that we have when we have our desires met at the highest level and our needs met at the highest level. We have this access to our high self, who I call the Siren, or this overflow state. I used to say it was flow state, but I was like, the guy who really coined the term "me high, Csikszentmihalyi," he's saying it's about a moment in time when you are so in the push, like you're going to feel this when you're in your marathon, like you go, 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 and you lose track of time. I'm like, wow, that's super masculine. That is a thing, right? It's fantastic. We all want it, but I'm more concerned with overflow, which means the state beyond flow, when you are so nourished, when you have the desires, you have the needs, you are in this, I've got so many reserves. I've got extra. I've got extra to share. I'm overflowing with energy. I'm overflowing with money. I'm overflowing with opportunity. I'm overflowing with inspiration. I'm just, it's coming out of my skin, it's pouring out. So that is a state that we can stoke. And I feel like if I'm in that is success, because everything good comes from that state.
And you were talking about money, and I know in Money Month in Siren, we also talked about abundance, and that's what overflow sounds like to me. It's just an abundance. Like there is no boundaries, there's no limits to it. It isn't a moment in time. It's just this ever-present abundance of all the good things. I love it.
Yes, and I want to share. It's like we talk about an energy, that your greatest gift is to walk into a coffee shop and just light the place up and just leave going, you're welcome, that we just want to be able to cause impact, good impact in all the ways. And so to be able to just write checks, solve some problems. I know a check doesn't always solve a problem, obviously, in all the ways, but it can certainly help, that I can share extra energy, that I have extra time, to give to the people I love. That's it.
I want to talk about self-compassion. And I mean this from the strongest possible place, the most powerful place for women. Because, again, this has been a teaching for me, especially in the last 9 months, of when things... I've got resilience, I've got grit. I know the women listening, they've got all the grit, all the resilience. But where they fall down is the self-compassion with them. So can we talk about self-compassion a little bit and its importance to us having lives and businesses we truly love?
Yeah.
And here's my left brain popping in to go, self-compassion, don't weaken, right? I'll let you talk. Because I got no words.
Well, it's just such a huge topic. And I, give all the credit in the world to our Dr. Kristen Neff, who coined this term, or really helped us actually break it down and what it means in her book, Self-Compassion. This is a story that I feel like this story just says it all. So she tells the story about how she was on an intercontinental flight with her son. And at the time he was pretty young and he was having a meltdown, like our worst fear, long flight, middle of the night, everybody's trying to sleep and he is throwing himself in the aisles, just really having a moment. And so I think our normal wiring would have us try to control the situation, try to actively make it stop. And everybody's glaring at her, wanting her to do just that. But she knows better. So she takes her hand and she reaches it towards her son. And 95% of her attention was on herself, saying, oh, sweet thing, you are such a good mom. You're doing such a great job. This is so hard. 5% of her attention is on the boy. So she's radiating out of her arm this 5% of attention, but 95% on herself, speaking to herself the way I would to you, the way you would to me, because we love each other. And we don't do that for ourselves. I certainly don't. I mean, I decided to stop working in corporate to be my own boss. I realized I'm the hardest boss I've ever had, because I can be so hard driving. So that kind of self-compassion is this inner talk, this way of staying connected to self, running your life, doing all the things, but not losing the connection to yourself. that there's an ever-present conversation about, how are you doing? You okay? What do we need? Do we want this? Do we not want that? Like you've got your own back. And I'm still working on this. I mean, I have not nailed it, but the commitment is there. And I think that's it. Like if even today, everyone just remembers again, because we forget so easily that, oh yeah, maybe I could treat myself the way I treat everyone else so easily.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I listen to my internal chatter sometimes, and I think this is what you're saying as well. And I'm like, I would never talk to someone the way I talk to myself sometimes.
No way.
So we're a work in progress.
Yes.
You mentioned the Siren a couple of times. Your program is called Siren. I have loved being a part of it since I'm in the current cohort. We've been going since last November, and you are encouraging us to embrace the Siren. Could you talk a little bit about like who is or what is the Siren, and what would a Siren's approach to building and leading a business look like? Business and life, really.
Yeah.
Like, how does the Siren operate? Yeah.
Well, so the Siren, for those who know of that term, is the myth of the really magical creatures that the story goes came from the sea, and they were so alluring, and their song was so delicious that it lured sailors to their death. So what we are here to do is write that story and bring that archetype back in a way of the witches, in a way of so many stories of women that were actually falsely told, not told at all accurately about women's powers, because years ago, in the age of reason and rational Newtonian measurable scientific means, we were erased from the storybooks and those powers widely misunderstood. And what I think the world needs so much now is for women to be connected to that power. If we are to get through what feels like a very wild time in history, we need those voices, those songs, that knowing.
Knowing, intuition.
No, right. That it's so needed right now. And to show the world how it is to lead from that place, to lead. I mean, how many times have we heard women say, there I was in the boardroom trying to make a decision, and they were asking me for evidence for my decision. And I was saying, I just know. I have no reason, no logic. It is a knowing. That be so deeply respected, that our voices be so deeply respected, because they are connected to something so powerful, that the story had to be that it would lure sailors to their death, when in truth, it's so powerful what we know, that when we're in that place and leading from that place, ignorance is destroyed. That lower thinking, divisive thinking, cruel ideas, not inclusive ways of being are eradicated for good, because that is not what we stand for. When we're in that creative place where that voice emanates from, it's pure love. It's for a better world. So it needs to be unleashed. And Siren came about as a brand that I think has really struck a chord with women. Because before, and women will see when you go to the website, some of my content is actually out of date, because I used to call it luminaries, that we're these luminaries, that we're here to bring light onto the planet, that we lead from a place of light. But the minute Siren came into being, life got very busy. And hasn't been updated, because we're so in it. Women, I think, are proud to say, I Siren. That's a very Siren thing to do. Oh, she's a Siren sirening. It's become a noun, verb, and an adjective.
Right.
We relate to it. We know it's like there's something powerful about it that we want to take back.
I love it. And, you run the Siren program, you do one-on-one work, you give presentations all around supporting women to step into their Siren and lead from that higher place. And what was I going to ask you about that? It's gone straight out of my head.
I think we were going into what does it look like to run a business as her?
Yes, thank you. Yes. So what does it look like to run a business and a life as her? Like, how are we accessing her? Oh, I know what I was going to say. So often in business, we talk about planning and money and systems and team and all the practical things that are important to running a business, but we don't often have these conversations about you and your calling and that inner voice and that knowing and its importance to making decisions and leading a business and a life that you love. So if we were walking into our business today as the Siren, how might we lead and run a business and a life what did it look like?
Well, the motto in Siren has become, we just do things differently.
Yes, it is.
And it's always followed by a little bit of a, the look like we're very proud of it. We don't do things the way they have been done. And the results speak for themselves. So there is, that come from, as we call it, when I say I put the Siren in charge, is I know that I've been, and every one of us, in what I call the Siren's journey, is that, there's a hero's journey, but the Siren's journey is going down into the depth of yourself, what I call into the ocean of yourself, to reclaim the fire that exists at the bottom of your being. There is a burning creative force. Just, in our bellies, base of our spine, down here, where if we own that, no imposter syndrome, no voice outside of ourselves can take us off track. And even if it does for a moment, sirens find sirens. We know our women. We know the people that love us, who are supporting us. We can go to them and come back and put her back in her rightful seat. But to say, I know that fire in myself means I know you have it too. My whole team, everybody that I work with, everybody who comes in my path, there's a deep reverence for the journey that we're all on. The come from is, I know we're all trying to just go back to that remembering. And ultimately the purpose that we all share is to become that, to by the end of our lives say, I nailed it. I'm all the way me. I experience myself leading my business, living my life the way only I can. And the flavor of it is impact and a hell of a good time. We stand for causing impact. I don't think that there's one woman who comes to this Siren journey who isn't brave as hell, because it's a journey. I mean, you have to go down and look at all the parts, all the traumas, all the wounds, all the shadow, all the ego, everything that comes with it. Make peace with it. Decide that all of it means something, that it all got you to this place and that it's all good and that you're in the journey. So here we are. But then if on a journey, like you and I love to travel, we don't go on the journey to have a bad time. We want to have a good time. And yes, there are going to be hard days and we struggle, but that's why we put her in charge to handle the waves, and to have this pleasure in this lifetime. We did not come here to be misunderstood, to have the story told wrong, to be erased, to not be heard. We came here to be seen and heard and do what only we can do. And we're going to have a damn good time doing it. So that's what it looks like, is balance and joy. And how dare you ask for more? You get this and that. You want to like my life. I had this vision. I could see it as a kid that I'd be talking to great people, having these great talks in life, which is like just being with you now is my favorite thing to do, is just talk about the stuff that really matters. And that I would likely be barefoot in the world's most beautiful places with some salty breezes, probably. And that is what I'm doing, set myself up to be able to have these conversations from wherever. And thankfully we have the technology that makes it so. But it's really, truly, we're witnessing it with every person who comes to the work. Their definition of what it looks like is different. And I trust that it's coming from that knowing. So to have the belief that you can actually design it and go for it is what I stand for. You wouldn't have the desire if it wasn't yours to have.
Yeah. And I think you have a system that you work with people through, and that is that rise, design, and shine process. And that's kind of what you're speaking to there.
Yes. Yes. It's saying rise to who are you and what are you here to do? Know who you are and what you're here to do. So rise to your calling, and then design your life so that you can fulfill that calling beautifully. And then that last piece, the shine, is shout it from the rooftops. I'm a marketing girl at heart. And so how you use your voice, sing your song before you are no longer, they say, don't die with your music still in you. It's how do you get over all the fear and all the obstacles to being seen and heard,
I love it. It is such precious work. And in a few minutes, I'm going to give you some details on how you can work with the beautiful Cherie into the future. Cherie, we are rebranding the tagline for this podcast to Your Business, Your Rules. So Her Business is the name of the podcast. The tagline is going to be Your Business, Your Rules. And I know that's a term that sits well with you because I ran it past you before we decided on it. And I'd love for you to say a few words about how important it is to play by your rules when it comes to running a business and a life that you love.
Oh, it's everything, because that second part of the rise, design, and shine, the design part, is creating the conditions for yourself to do what only you can do. And I saw this so early on in my corporate work that going into a company with a boss and a brand and all the things that company was trying to accomplish, you hire all these people. And in the old days, it was you get 2 weeks vacation and a paycheck, do your job, and everybody works in their little cubicle or their office, and that's what you get. And I was so affronted as a young person saying, these are not the conditions I require. My office is too small. Somebody's knocking on the door all the time. I'm constantly getting interrupted. I have a really long commute, like all of these things that just didn't add up. And I think the world has changed so much since then, thankfully, where we do get much more say in the conditions that we require. But the rules are so personal. They're so deeply tied to our knowing what I require to do a thing that I stand on a stage in life just nonstop trying to make it okay for you to make your own rules, to say, this is what I need. The saying that I repeat every single day is the more you want to give, the more you need. So if you are here to give and cause great results, like we're all high achieving, successful women, then you require more than someone else. So your rules are your conditions. They are the things that you need in order to cause what you're here to cause. And I just can't stress it enough that when they are dialed in, and it's, moving, it's fluid, it's not always same every day. But if we can be tuned in and stand for them, because I know my calling is to help you answer yours. That's why I have rules. That's why, because I want to fulfill that. It's not hard to enforce them.
Yeah. You said something really important there, and I recommend that we rewind and listen to that again, because the conditions that we require now might be quite different to the conditions when we first started our business. Life has changed. Who we've become, if we really catch up to who we've become, we might find that the design of our business doesn't serve us anymore. The types of clients we work with, it doesn't fuel us up. The way we operate in our day, how we spend our time, how much we work, and we can always redesign. We can always step into that Siren space and rise to who we are now, design it fresh, and then stand from the new rooftop and shout that message out. It's okay to recreate and redesign. And that was really part of the reason that I joined Siren, is because I knew I was ready for a shift and I didn't know what it was. And that process has really supported me. At HerBusiness, we have a mantra of doing what we love every day. If we're going to be in these businesses for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, how do we do what we love every day? I'd love to know, Cherie, and you've given us a hint to at least what the morning looks like. What does a day in the life of Cherie as a business owner look like when you are doing what you love?
Gosh. I mean, it's always somehow staring at a beautiful, like right now I'm looking at the mountains. We live in the mountains and I've got all the windows open and barefoot and free. It's very much my life's work. I know I'm here to experience freedom and help others do the same. So it's been designed in such a way that I get to have great big talks all day long. So people say, I have no idea how you do it. Like for a long time, it was just on the phone all day. I had my little headset on, even at dinner. I forget to take it off because it was just, and now it's Zoom. So it's really that it actually fuels me to have conversations. It doesn't take energy at all. Yeah. It gives it, because when you're kind of connected, when you're in that Siren space, you're connected to your soul, your high self, whatever you want to call her. I look at it kind of like I'm in a channel. So I step into that channel, even if I've had a bad day the day before, or I didn't sleep well. The tendency would be to say, I should cancel my calls. I know better. I go into that channel and it's like a never ending wellspring of good energy is there. And I'm just buoyed by it. So it looks like, usually traveling. I love to be, as I said, on a boat or somewhere beautiful and doing these calls at whatever hour, and really good food. I have a very high bar for pleasure. So it's like, what great smoothie or what amazing salad do I get to eat during the day? And then I really stand for quality time. I think is one of my highest love languages. And so to just be able to stop at a certain moment to take a walk with my love or to watch a movie. I just live for a good movie or a good show at the end of the night, or sitting under, we have strings of lights in the backyard, and another good talk to finish off the night, with my kids or my sweetheart. It's that, it's so simple.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm just going to give you the opportunity, if there's anything else you feel is unsaid that you want to share with us.
Such a good thing. I do feel like I want for everyone listening to just have a easy access to that Siren inside, to know how to do it, because it may be that you don't all the way identify yet with a very queenly part of yourself or a really powerful part of you, because life is hard right now. So it's as simple as your next breath. And that's just what I want everybody to go away from, saying, oh my God, she's there. Like when you said you were ready for a shift, but you didn't know what it was. The Siren did inside you. She does. She absolutely knows. There's a part of you that is never afraid, who never feels like an imposter, who's really not ever tired. She's always there guiding you every step of the way. And so the way I like to do it, and very much in the beginning, before I really identified as her, I always thought I was just kind of this kid who was trying to be enlightened someday. You just close your eyes and you say, I put my high self in charge. I give the steering wheel over to you. I give the pencil over to you. I put you in charge. You speak for me. And if you just have that as a practice, let me know myself as you. And that's the thing that you just, every moment you remember, throughout the day, beginning of the day, end of the day, you let her talk through you, you will soon come to know yourself as her. It will change your whole life.
Cherie, I love you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I love you.
Thank you for joining me. I hope you felt the love fest at the end of that episode because, when you find someone in your life who can help you shift who you are, who can move you into becoming more you, it is such a gift. And I've been so blessed to be in that situation with Cherie since I joined her program last November. So as we wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with this question. What conditions are you creating to let your highest self, your inner siren, lead in your business and in your life? Are you filling your own cup up so fully that it overflows and allows you to have an even greater impact on others? And if you're not sure what those conditions look like, simply start by noticing and asking yourself each day, what lit me up today? What gave me energy? And that awareness is the first step to building patterns and practices that keep you aligned and in that overflow state. I got so much out of this conversation with Cherie. I get a lot out of every conversation with Cherie, and I hope that you enjoyed it too. I'm going to put all her details in the show notes on our website. I'll give you the details of where that is in just a moment. And I want you to pay attention to the invitation for a free one-on-one call with Cherie, something I highly recommend that you say yes to. Now, if you're a HerBusiness Network member, I love you. Remember that there is a powerful masterclass with Cherie inside of the Members Hub. It's a marketing masterclass called Marketing from the Inside Out. So definitely check that out if you haven't listened to that already. If you're not a member of HerBusiness, now is a wonderful time to go ahead and apply to see if the HerBusiness Network is the right fit for you. As you can tell from this episode, we are about more than systems and planning and marketing and teams and all those things. We're really about creating a business that has you thrive in life. And so if you want to be part of that, if you want to have bigger conversations, then you're going to find a link in the show notes, or you can head on over to herbusinessnetwork.com now to learn more. Now, I'd love to read some words from one of our listeners. We were, this is a little bit different because we were listed in the top 90 lifestyle business podcasts, the HerBusiness Podcast, at position number 11. So thank you to those who voted for us or got us in that position. It echoed our rating of 5 out of 5 on the Apple platform and put us in such good company of really heart-led business podcasts. And it's interesting that this is the lifestyle category because we are about creating a business and a life that you absolutely love. So thank you to those who made that possible. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, would you leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts? Or you can direct message me on Instagram. You'll find us at Instagram. If you don't already follow us on Instagram, highly recommend that you do because we're posting daily tips and strategies and links to great resources. And once again, thank you to Cherie, and over on our website at herbusiness.com/325, you'll find a summary of today's episode as well as links to any resources that we've discussed and certainly a link to that free one-on-one session with Cherie. If you are new to the show, hit subscribe or follow wherever you're listening and join us in the next episode for more inspiring stories and lessons from successful female entrepreneurs. We'll see you next week right here on the HerBusiness Podcast. Bye for now.